our super secret studios in a broken down school bus in a shady looking junkyard, it's the Health and Wealth Show. I'm Rusty, and for the next 30 minutes, you're going to hear some good news about your money. Now here's your host, the Prince of Paper Money, the Sultan of Savings, the man who has seen True Grit 17 times. It's David Ernest.
Thank you,
Thank you.
McMahon, Rusty.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. We just got back from a big party.
Yes, we did.
We just got back from a big party, and that big party was the Republican meeting. We had lunch. We always pick up folks when we have lunch, and today we picked up an esteemed speaker.
He looked kind of steamed when we picked him up.
It was hot out there.
Bobby Bright.
Hey,
Bobby Bright.
Here he is.
All right.
Yes.
Great to be with y'all. It's great to be here. I love your studio.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just keeping it hidden, but we're going to have a big party and invite everybody down here.
Don't let anybody know you're here. They're home in on you and try to push you out.
Well, Rusty's pretty good at hiding us. He's been putting us in storm drains and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were hiding out in Wall one weekend.
Yeah. Well, anyway, today we're going to talk about something called over-regulation in government.
Absolutely.
And we're going to ask the opinion of our Bobby Bright here, who is also running for Congress.
You're right.
And Bobby, would you tell us a little bit about how that's been going for you?
Going great. We got into this race the end of January, the 1st of February of this year, and the support and encouragement has been overwhelming. We had a primary. We had 5 candidates running for this particular nomination, and we won in the runoff. So we now have a runoff between the incumbent, Roby, and myself. And the people have a really, really clear choice they can make here. They can choose the incumbent and the status quo, or they can change and have someone who is dedicated to making sure their voice is heard in Washington, D.C. We'll get back on the Armed Services Committee, on the Agriculture Committee, and those 2 committees are so key to the success and stabilization of District 2. They cover and control the 2 military bases. They control and help the farmers who are key to our economic base here in the state. And for the last 4 years, we haven't had anybody at the table when those issues were discussed. That's going to end when I'm elected congressperson. We're getting back on those very influential and very important committees, and we're going to pick up where we left off 8 years ago.
Yes, and there for a while, there was a lot of regulation in my business, the financial business, and luckily a lot of that is trailing down, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about some. From what I understand, you're against over-regulation. Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what? Business is most successful when they can depend on their own creative ideas, when they come up with their own projects to perform out there for the citizens and for their customers, and you can overregulate. Much less, that's what's happening to our nation right now. We've got too many regulations, and because of that, many of our successful businesses are having a time, and they're struggling. And they're not only struggling, they're picking up and moving out of our country into these other countries so that they don't have those strict regulations.
Yes, it's a sad thing. I can tell you an example in my business is the country of England. They did over-regulation, just like, what's happening in the medical profession now.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened is that 40 to 60% of the people do not have any financial advisors because they've been regulated away, and
right.
we can't function over there. So we don't want to see that happening here in the United States. And thank goodness Trump has done something to stop that. And one of the biggest things was the Department of Labor was trying to regulate the Securities Exchange Commission from my viewpoint, and also the insurance departments from my viewpoint. Essentially, where did Obama have the right to tell the Securities Exchange Commission or the people who they're regulating how to do regulation? That's ridiculous.
He's listening to his liberal advisors, and that's not healthy or safe for our country as a whole. Keep in mind, Dave, that I went up to Congress as a conservative blue dog Democrat.
Right.
I had an opportunity to see the Obama-Pelosi administration up close.
Right.
And you know what? I determined and concluded that that is not good for our country, nor is it good for our state.
Right.
So overregulation can kill businesses, it can kill our economy, and it can really have a negative effect on our nation as a whole. So if I go back up there, I'm going to be doing everything I can to support the president and his America First agenda, and that America First means helping the small businesses out there, all businesses out there, to be able to streamline their work product, keep it at a price that the average citizen and family can afford out here in our country, and help them to be successful. When you help businesses to be successful, you help the families that are in your district, that are in your community. It helps your relatives be able to get a job, provide support for their families. And that's what I think our president is trying to do. And I'm so grateful for him to come forth and say, you know what, we're going to renegotiate these foreign trade agreements.
Right.
They have been nothing but failure for the United States. When you have an agreement and the agreement's going to bring a depressed economy up, guess what that means? Somebody has to go down if you equalize them. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We were the successful economies. The oppressed, depressed countries out there were the depressed economies. And to help them, that means we got to go down. And I don't think America deserves that. We need to stay at the top, be at the top in all these other countries. They will respect us, and they will beg to be our friends, and we won't have to pay them money to be our friends and then have them stab us in the back.
Exactly. And I'll say this, I am a developer in Montgomery, Alabama. I did come before you and the city council several times. You were.
So that's where I saw you and met you.
Well, I'm an advisor too, but I mean, you get into a lot of different things when you're doing this. So the one thing that I have to say is that you were always fair, and it was obvious that you were very conservative. I can't say that about this other person that we're not, I mean, you can say her name. Essentially, that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing you on the show. I understand why you ran on the Democratic ticket. A lot of people out there don't realize that we had this thing called Dixiecrats. You were on the tail end of that. Essentially, everybody was conservative in the state that was running on stuff like that. Whether you called yourself a Democrat, Dixiecrat, or Republican, you're still conservative, and that's what counts. That's what counts. And you have always been a conservative, and you'll never be anything but a conservative.
That's exactly right. And it really makes me mad whenever I see the current office holder run those negative political ads out there calling me a liberal Democrat, that I supported Nancy Pelosi and that I supported the Democratic agenda. She knows better. She knows my record is better than hers. Every rating organization in Washington, D.C., every one of them, there's 5 that we could determine. We went to them and we asked them to compare my voting record when I was in Congress to the existing representatives' voting record. Guess what? All 5 of them rated me higher as a conservative than her. Not only that, we took it one step further. We went to each individual state. The existing incumbent, her record, Martha Roby, as we're talking, her voting record is more liberal in 26 states than any other Republican congressman in government today. So for her to be calling me a liberal Democrat, that is such a hypocritical move on her part. And what she's doing is doing what she's always done, mislead her constituents for personal gain and political gain. I don't think the people of Alabama are going to accept that. They know my record, and they know that I've always been a conservative. Even when I went to Washington, I stood up against my party and the leadership and voted against them on every major agenda project that they had. And I voted against health care, the Obamacare. I voted against cap and trade. I voted against one, and you can just name it. Every time it was big, if it was a big project or a big program and it was going to cost a lot of money, I always voted against it. Not only that, I voted against every single tax increase up there. My opponent voted to increase the deficit by $1 trillion. She voted to fund Planned Parenthood at the rate of $500.
Are you kidding me?
$500 million.
She voted for Planned Parenthood?
She sure did.
Listen to that, Baptist.
That's exactly right. And how she tries to smooth that over, she comes back and says, I'm pro-life at all stages. What does that mean?
Well,
What does that mean if you go back to Washington and you vote to fund Planned Parenthood at $500 million?
Do you think she shows one face here and the other face there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, I was in the medical profession. I didn't like to see young children, aborted. That's just horrible.
Pro-life at every stage, as far as I'm concerned. I was part of the pro-life Democratic caucus when I was up in Washington, proud so. And I will always be that way. I'm an old Southern Baptist deacon, and
Exactly.
I believe in protecting life at every stage.
You're living and showing it. So the thing is, though, I've been hearing all this stuff, and like I said, we worked with you in the past, and we liked everything that you did. You were great from Montgomery. You're strictly a conservative. Every person who worked with you down at the city, I know city councilmen, they all said they loved you. You were easy to work with. But when you're up close to someone and you see how they work with you and then others don't, that's the reason why I brought you in here.
Yeah.
Because I know that you are not what they're revealing out there, what they're trying to reveal. I know you're not. All that negative stuff is absolutely wrong about Bobby Bright. Bobby Bright is a conservative. He's always been a conservative, and he always will be one.
They're doing everything they possibly can to win this race. They are very, very scared. They're running scared. And always remember this: when a person gets scared or they get cornered, they get desperate. And when they get desperate, they take desperate measures. Mm-hmm. So they're just downright lying about me and my record and what I've always stood for. And I don't think the people, though, here are going to fall for it. And they really don't appreciate somebody just downright lying to them. And that's what these commercials are all about right now. Let me tell you another thing about the commercials. She's got plenty of money. The Republican establishment in Washington, D.C., are behind her because she is a very safe rubber stamp vote for them.
Right.
She votes on everything. For instance, when she voted for that, Planned Parenthood, it was part of the Republican establishment vote. When she voted to increase the deficit by $1 trillion, that was part of the establishment vote. I will not do that. People in Alabama know me. They know that I will stand firm and speak out loudly and maturely and honestly on every single vote, because it'll always be for the people of District 2.
Well, you proved your point when you were the mayor of Montgomery, because you helped us expand and you did things that we needed and you kept things in balance. We didn't have a lot of debt. We had a lot of good things going on.
We built a $16 million rainy day fund from zero whenever I came on board. Kept our credit rating at a AAA rating, the best of any city in the state our size, and I was proud of that. And when we left Montgomery in a much better shape as far as economic development is concerned than what we found it. And I'm proud of that. Can I tell you one last thing?
Sure.
I served with our present our present representative in city government. She voted on every single thing against what we were trying to do in the city of Montgomery.
I remember.
6 years I served with her, and every year she would vote down what I would propose. She voted it down. The very first year she came in and voted for my budget, but every budget after that had all the progress that we've been experiencing in downtown, she voted it against it, and I won't ever forget that.
Well, I had a real good friend who was a city councilman. He's passed on now, and he never forgot it.
He was a big supporter of the city, and he knew what we were trying to do, and he would always come in and we would have discussions about how she would always try to fight us on everything. She never voted to do anything that I felt like was good and beneficial for the city and for the community of Montgomery.
I just hate seeing people who say one thing and do the other. I remember when Trump was in trouble, and her and the other constituents said, hey, I'm not with him. Mm-hmm. And now I know that Trump has endorsed her supposedly, but, that's all politics and stuff like that. But she didn't stand with him at all. and we need someone who's standing with us.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We do, and we got to take a quick break.
Okay.
I just got the signal. Can you stay with us?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, hold that thought, stay tuned for more Health and Wealth.
Good advice is sometimes hard to come by. That's why you should find a financial professional you can trust. There may not be such a thing as a perfect investment. Every financial choice involves trade-offs. It is helpful to have a financial professional on your side to help you organize your goals and have a better understanding of the pros and cons of any financial decision. At Earnest Financial, we focus on working with you to meet your financial goals and provide the advice that can help minimize the hazards you may face. Give our office a call at 334-279-7431 or visit us online at retirewithernest.com.
Is your money working for you? Would you like higher returns with lower risks? David Ernest of Ernest Financial Retirement Rollovers has custom-tailored strategies. With over 30 years in the industry, let him help you achieve your dreams. Ernest Financial, where they are always earnest about your money. Visit retirewithernest.com or call 279-7431. That's 279-7431. Ernest Financial.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the person.
And welcome back to Health and Wealth with David Ernest. I'm Rusty, and our special guest today, Bobby Bright.
Bobby Bright.
Hopefully, the next congressman from District
2.
I got it right.
Here in Montgomery.
And
right.
I'm in that district, and I'm telling you now, you count on me.
Good deal.
Count on me.
Good deal.
We've been it's been kind of a serious show, a lot of good information, and I got some questions, and believe it or not, they're kind of serious.
Good.
And you said you wanted to mention something about what we heard the other day about this endorsement.
Yeah,
from,
Dave was talking about the endorsement before we took the break, and let me tell you what Washington's like. Mm-hmm. It's a city made of a lot of different groups and organizations and a lot of diversity up there, and a lot of deals are made every day. The president is known for making deals. He made a deal with the Washington establishment, Republican establishment, to support a rubber stamp. That rubber stamp will be a rubber stamp for anything he wants. Mm-hmm. Anything that he pushes, that rubber stamp will be right there in the form of our representative. Let me tell you, I'm going to support the president, but I'm also going to always push the very first agenda in my administration is going to be for District 2, Alabama. And I will always do that, but I'll also work with the president to do what I know he wants to do, and that's drain the swamp. I think it was a real soft endorsement. I don't think he's going to come to the state and stand up on the stage and hold her hands. I don't look for that. It was something that I think he struck a deal with some of the powers to be, and did for them that endorsement for her just to get something else down the road that he's going to need, like immigration, things like that.
Right.
So we're moving ahead. Our campaign even got stronger as a result of that because they realized that he did the same thing with Luther Strange back a few months back.
Right.
And he did the same thing with Roy Moore. So he's 2 for 2 as far as telling Alabamians who to vote for.
There you go.
And I think I'm going to try my best to make it 0 for 3. Even though I support him and I'm going to be up there, I'm going to be on his team, and we're going to work hard for Alabama and our country.
All right. And my next question, ripped right from the headlines.
All right.
You got people getting thrown out of restaurants because of who they work for.
So
and people standing up telling other people to go and harass people who support our president. I mean, I've never seen that before.
Please.
I've never seen it.
Let me tell folks, you know what? He's our president. Mm-hmm. We elected him commander-in-chief. And if you can't say something good about him, be quiet. Leave him alone. He has had this investigation over his head now for, a year and a half, the whole time he's been in office. And he's been handcuffed because of that. And he's still made some good things happen for our country. Imagine what he could do if they would end this Mueller investigation and set him free.
Right.
So quit. He's made some enemies. You're going to change Washington, D.C., and to change the way they operate up there, you're going to make a whole lot of enemies, and he's doing that. But he's doing what's right for our country.
Well, I just so much appreciate him protecting the American people. A lot of folks out there just do not know what the Department of Labor tried to do with the Securities Exchange Commission, the insurance departments, people like us. We need the freedoms. We need to be regulated. I'm not against regulation, but over-regulation. When you are making it so difficult that, and I know you're an attorney, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, when you have frivolous lawsuits, you can be sued. It's a drop of the hat for doing anything. That's what they were trying to open up on our business. And also, that brings the product line down. And when you bring the product line down to just very few products, that hurts the American public. And that's why we've been so against that. And we are so appreciative of what Trump has done. And we know, I feel it because I saw you as the mayor and also the other things. I know that you are against overregulation.
Oh, that's the key. The key words is overregulation. You have to have a degree of regulation. If you don't, the wealthy and strong and large will take advantage of the poor and underprivileged.
Right.
But you have to recognize that fine line, and that fine line, once you go over it, and we have, you start hurting the community. You start hurting the businesses out there. So you have to have somebody smart enough, like our president, I believe, because he's been in the business world long enough.
Exactly.
He knows where that fine line is, and he don't want those regulators to step over it.
No, and in my business, and that's why you're on the show, and that's why I'm talking. That's why this show is about overregulation, and we need a man like you in there to keep this from happening. Is that overregulation is going to stifle, like you said, the ability for us to be profitable. And the other thing is when you have to answer to too many regulatory institutions. In other words, we have to answer to the Securities Exchange Commission. We have to answer to the Insurance Department. We have to answer to Alabama Securities Department, and all that's okay. We have to answer to all these different entities. What in the world has the Department of Labor got to do with these type of things is ridiculous. So to put them over and above, and thank goodness Trump did what he did, and the Department of Labor's what they call a fiduciary law has been defeated and was defeated in the Fifth Circuit Court of Supreme Court. It was defeated just like last week, completely pushed down. Yeah. And that was a good thing. And if we hadn't had that, if the other party had won, we would be in a pickle right now.
You really would. You really would. And it's, that was a breath of fresh air when they ruled the way they did last week, I believe it was. So, you know what? We're on the right track. Let's keep it up and just move forward. And our country is the strongest, the freest, and the most resourceful country in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I'm proud of it. Every day I'm becoming even more proud.
And what makes this country so great is anybody can do anything they want to. And this is my new venture now. I'm still going to do this, but I'm going to open up a cheese store.
Cheese store.
And I'm going to send an invitation to Hillary Clinton because eventually she's going to want some cheese to go with that wine.
Is she going? How about some hoop cheese? You gonna have some hoop cheese?
We'll get you some hoop cheese. I'll have to tell you a story about that in a minute. But yeah, we'll get her some red wine.
Do they serve cheese in jail?
Yeah, only if you find a rat. Look here, you guys! I found a rat, you guys.
Wow.
You knew it was coming, didn't
you? I knew it was out there.
Well, I thank goodness every day that I have a giant personality.
You have a 300-pound personality running around.
So like everybody has a shadow that follows them. I have a rusty personality with me. Because
personality.
Knock that seriousness out of there. Rusty's always a fresh air to listen to you come up with.
They need me.
Jokes.
They need me in Washington, man.
They really do.
I get up
he's already got it all figured out. He's got some villains, but he's got some heroes about money.
We'll be talking about that. We got this serial we run on the show here called Money Man.
Money Man.
Yeah, and he's out in the the Cash Cave.
Yeah,
and his sidekick Loose Change, and they fight crime and help you with your money. So we got that going for us, but we're just proud to have you on with us today. I had not seen you in years.
It has been a while.
You walked up to me and called me by name. My heart skipped a beat. I was, you remember me?
I remembered him well. Remember you well.
Well, with a face like this, you can't help it.
You got a face for radio.
Man,
He's got the perfect face
yeah,
for
I don't
radio.
know. And you don't even turn the radio on. That's the thing. Don't turn that radio on, that ugly man on there.
Hey, they tell me that too. I've got the face for radio, so I don't mind being behind the microphone.
Your associate Sammy. That's my mother's name. Why couldn't I think of it? Says she lives in Dothan, and there's a guy down there named Fred Bacher.
Yeah.
You know Fred?
Yeah, I know of him.
And
yeah.
Fred does that. This is old Fred Radio Face Bacher coming to you live.
That's
so
him.
yeah, that's him.
That's him.
Yeah, the wiregrass grass.
I've never seen any wiregrass, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's kind of wiry.
Uh-huh.
Well, I tell you what, I saw Bobby Bright running all over that wiregrass one day.
Yeah.
I just pulled up in his Hardy restaurant, and I look, and here he comes talking to everybody, shaking everybody's hand, telling everybody what he was going to do to help that area. And I'm telling you, the people appreciated that.
They really do.
The people realize that we're limited in what we can do as a legislative body. We got to have a majority of that body, and in Congress it's 435. But you know what they really appreciate is having an opportunity to see their representative
Right.
and talk to their representative.
Right.
You know, that's another reason I'm running, because we had an award-winning staff when I was in Congress before. Everybody nationwide in Congress acknowledged that my staff was the number one constituent services staff of any congressman in Washington, D.C. I was proud of that. The reason for that is because we hired good people, but I also made sure they knew that the primary purpose they were there for was to serve the people. If they come in and they had a problem, if we couldn't help them with a problem, we still sat down and talked to them and listened to what they had to say. I've learned over the years that you can't help everybody, but what you can do is you can listen to them.
Right.
And
Right.
many times when somebody's mad, when they're not getting along with anybody else, and they are irritated, all they need to do is express it, get it off their chest.
Exactly
and
right.
many times I would find that even if I didn't agree with them and went another route, they would always accept it and move on.
Well, what I liked about you, Bobby, is that you were always open. If I needed to talk to you or whatever, you were always available.
Well,
I mean, you never ignored anyone. When I needed help, or if I needed something to talk to you, you were always available.
well, I've been in my lifetime. I came up from a sharecropping family of 14 kids, and I learned very quickly that everybody has their up times and downs.
The
down
kettles didn't have that many.
Well,
Oh yeah, Jim used to tell me that story. Weren't you the only one that got a college degree?
I'm the only one I'm one of two that got a high school.
That is a lot
It's
of
amazing.
siblings right there.
So you really pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, Bobby.
Well, but I had a lot of folks to help me along the way. I
Right,
couldn't
right.
have done it. And you know what? That's why I'm out there. Is I want to make someone that came from a place like I did. I want to give them that helping hand. And,
Right.
and that's the main reason I want to be in Congress, is to help people. I had an old wise man tell me one time. He says, "Bright, all you need to do if you get in politics, you need to do one word." And I said, "Sir, what's that word?" He said, "You always need to be in politics for one word and one word only." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "Do good." He said, "Just always do good. And if you'll do good, everything else will fall into place."
That's exactly right. We all want to do the right thing.
You're right.
And the only thing we got left to do now, we've got to go in just a
Oh,
minute
no.
or two. So,
Time
Bobby,
flies.
Appreciate you being here today. Any last words before we go?
Just glad to find you, Rusty, and know where you are now. And
Yeah, finally, someone found the studio.
I found the studio, so I'll be back over here. Y'all probably look out one day and see me coming and say, "You know what? There he is again. Let's lock the door."
No, we'll be glad to have you in. We'll be glad
No.
anytime.
We might take you up in that balloon he took me up in one time.
All right.
I'd say the door is always open, but stuff will disappear. But you can come in anytime.
Gotcha.
And we appreciate you listening, folks. We'll be back next time. Good luck,
Thank you, sir.
Bobby. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time here with David Ernest on Health and Wealth.
That's what I want.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives.